Welcome to the Perfectly Honest podcast, where we talk about family relationships and matters and Christ. I'm Michael.
And I'm Kiana.
And today we are going to be talking about your worst dating experiences. But first, if I'm being perfectly honest, today was a very normal day. And it's hard for me to say that about my days usually.
That was a good thing, though.
It was really good. I was like, oh, I feel normal. Because usually it's like I'm on cloud nine or I'm in the depths of despair. Like I don't think I'm like, what do you call it?
Bipolar?
I don't think I'm bipolar. That might be an indication. But, it was really nice to be like, oh, this is normal. I just got up. We could,
just a normal day.
Meditate, get ready, start working. It was good. Yeah.
And if I'm being perfectly honest, I have never been so excited to record a podcast episode.
Yeah,
I'm so excited.
This has been super exciting because we're trying to really find what connected with you, the audience. And so we have been putting some questions out there and things, but this one got a lot of really good response, which was, what was your worst date experience? And we got a lot of responses.
We did.
Yeah, so let's jump right into it. Now, Kiana's read some of them.
I've read most of them.
Most of them.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any.
He has not. Yeah, he hasn't seen a single thing.
Yeah. So I'm really excited about this. We did talk to my Uncle Curtis today. Shout out to Uncle Curtis, who always listens.
We love you.
Yeah. So I think I did get a little snippet of something, but I'm excited to hear what we have.
Okay.
Let's get into it.
Let's get into the first worst date. This is kind of a long one to start us out, but I thought that it'd be good. Okay.
Yeah.
I had this guy best friend who I wasn't romantically interested in.
Wait, are we going to say who this is?
No, we're going to keep him anonymous.
Okay, these are all anonymous. Okay.
Yeah, because then people could track. Like, what if the worst date person was listening? And they're like, oh, yeah, like, that was me.
Well, that's okay. You have to give me a hint. I want to know who it is.
I'll tell you after.
Okay.
Guy best friend, she's not romantically interested in them at all.
Okay.
But he liked me. We had talked about it, and I had told him I just saw him as a friend, and he said he was cool with that. One day, he asked me to go to the movies with him. I knew nothing about the movie he suggested, and also didn't know if he wanted it to be a date or just as friends because he didn't really clarify. We hadn't hung out outside of school before. That's the worst.
Yeah.
When you're like not sure of what it is.
Do we know like what school this, like, is this high school? Is this?
I think high school.
Yeah. Okay.
I said I'd go, but he needed me and my parents, because I didn't have my license yet, to pick him up about half an hour away and then drive another 45 minutes to the theater.
Oh,
it was
my
a
goodness.
long car ride. Can you imagine being in the car with your parents and this person that you don't have a crush on?
Yeah.
So awkward.
Yeah.
I started stressing out, wondering if he was thinking this was a date and if he tried to hold my hand. And everything to that point, that I got a migraine, and it was a bad one. But my parents and I drove to pick him up anyways. I didn't want to hurt his feelings and cancel. So here she is, like, so much pain.
With her parents.
Oh my gosh.
Like, okay, so you got your parents, you have a migraine. This is off to a good start.
The whole time in the car, I'm suffering so bad for my migraine. And so he ends up talking to my parents the whole way to the theater.
Oh my gosh. That was so embarrassing.
It was such a terrible movie, but I didn't see all that much of it anyway because I had to run to the bathroom not once, but twice to throw up since my migraine was so bad.
Oh my gosh.
Even though I ended up smelling like puke because I got some on my clothes the second time,
gosh.
he still tried to hold my hand during the movie. He had these long, dirty fingernails that made it all so much worse.
Oh.
He wanted...
Like, okay, you just think that, like, just pause. You think that the throw up, like the smell, would be enough to be like, a deterrent. And you're like, okay, I already don't want to be around this guy. But then the guy's trying to hold your hand.
Oh my gosh.
This is worse than any date I've ever been on already.
Ended with this one. This is like really bad.
This is really bad. Yeah.
Okay. He wanted to cuddle up to me as well. And I just told him I really wasn't feeling well. Because of how sick I was, I asked my parents to drop me off first and then take him home because I couldn't do the long drive there and back.
Oh, well, that's good. I feel like that's like that's like a happy ending almost for you. Because Because like it's basically like, okay, at least I am like in such a terrible position that like I can.
She had an out.
Yeah, I had an out. And oh man, I just went back to this, but his long dirty fingers.
That's so gross.
That's so gross. Oh man, I just imagine like I get weird with shaking hands with people sometimes. I don't know, like even like giving high fives,
Oh, yeah.
or not like super weird, but like
He's a germaphobe.
I mean, but like sometimes you're like, you're the kind of person that, like I don't know where your hands have been.
Yeah.
I don't know where those dirty hands have been.
Those dirty, grubby hands. Luckily, we remained friends in school, but I never went out with him again. That was my worst date, but I have plenty more. Upside down smiley face.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so this, if you have more, we're gonna have to do this again. This is really fun.
It's so funny.
Yeah, so let's go to the next one.
Okay. This is a shorter one. A date once left me during the middle of a group date. She said she had a friend who was stuck in Sacramento and had to go get her. I saw her Snapchat story that night, and she was with the said friend at a party in Sacramento.
Oh my goodness.
She left the group date to go to a rager.
Oh my goodness. I feel like I've heard this story before. I think I know this person. Oh yeah, okay. I know. I hear you.
That's terrible.
Yeah, that is. Oh my gosh.
Because you're like, oh yeah, like no big deal. Like you go help your friend out. And then you're like on Snapchat and you're like, awesome. You ditched me to go to a party.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh. That would be like, I feel like I did hear like some of that stuff like happening like quite a bit. Like I feel like like we've all kind of heard a story like that before, almost, where it's like, somebody is like stands you up for a date and then you find out that they're doing something else. You're like, okay, I get it. You're not interested. Like, just say it.
Just say it. Yeah. Okay. Here's one of my worst date experiences. So I went on a date with this guy.
And we need to just say like, okay, this is a new date.
Oh yeah.
So that it like helps
New
us.
story.
Yeah. New story. This is a new story.
So I went on a date with this guy who was bragging about how he is a better kisser than his brother. I knew both him and his brother. He said that him and his brother took the same girl out on a date. They both made out with her. Then after each of the dates, they asked her who was the better kisser.
Oh my gosh.
How weird. And how weird for the guy to share that with me like it was this big flex.
I know, it's not a flex. Sorry, guys.
That's so weird.
Now, I understand like guys' mentalities sometimes like around kissing, because it's all like, for guys, everything's about competition, And so at least like growing up, and at least like maybe you as a guy are not, like, I'm not necessarily competitive, but like that's just how it is with like when you're hanging out with your guy friends. It's always a competition,
Oh my gosh. But
your brother.
Yeah, your brother. That's so weird.
Yeah, it's like, I'm a better kisser than my brother.
Okay, she had more to say about this guy.
Okay.
The same guy asked me a bunch of random questions. One was, so how do you feel about nudity? I was like, I'm fine with
What
it.
the heck?
What context are you referring to? He was like, well, me and my whole family walk around completely naked in our house. I was a bit taken back.
Man.
That's so weird.
Hey, no wonder he's so comfortable with his brother.
Oh my goodness. Same guy asked me how I felt about aliens, and he was super passionate about it.
Oh yeah. Well, that is something to be passionate about. No, I was kidding.
And
I love talking to aliens. It's just fun.
He made her brother a crossbow that he was going to give to her on the second date, but the second date didn't happen. So he messaged me, harassing me, saying we have to go on another date because he made my brother a gift. He like hand whittled a legit crossbow. He sent pictures and videos of him using it to entice me and my brother to have a second date.
Right.
So glad she did not give him a second date.
Oh yeah, that's good. That's kind of impressive with the crossbow though. I mean, here's the thing with this guy. I'm just seeing so many guy mentality things, and it's like all of the things that sometimes there'll be a thought that crosses a guy's head, like, oh, maybe I should like say this. And I was like, of course I shouldn't say that. But like, this is the guy that like had a thought and was like, of course I should say it because it's a thought in my mind.
And it might impress her.
Yeah. And it's like, everything's about competition. It's just like, that's a thing. And you might find some competitive girls, but you have to be careful. You have to say like if you did a weird thing with your brother and like kissed a girl and had her, like tell you who's better, then just keep that to yourself. Like, even if you happen to have done that,
So weird.
just be like, even if that came up, like that would be something that would come up later in a relationship. Like, I did this thing once. It was so embarrassing. Right?
Yeah.
But he's like flexing it.
No, he's like, oh, this was so cool.
Yeah. I mean, good for him that he can feel that confident, but
that poor girl, though.
I know that poor
kissed
girl.
both brothers.
Oh my goodness, yeah. And she's like, now I have to, and we can tell that probably him and his brother are super persistent. You have to tell us who is
the better kisser. Okay, here's another one.
Okay.
One time I showed up for a first date at a bookstore, saw the guy I was supposed to meet, and said, Ken, hi, nice to meet you. And he straight up looked me up and down and said, oh, I'm not Ken. I apologized and waited at the Starbucks for Ken. But then the man I said hi to earlier felt guilty and came over and said he was Ken.
Oh my gosh.
He looked like his photo on Bumble and started talking to me.
Oh my goodness. So he literally just checked her out, was just like,
He was like,
no. I'm done. But he's like, but then he hung around?
Weird.
I mean, if I was Ken, like even if I was that much of a jerk, he was extra jerk for coming back around.
Wait for the rest of the story.
Oh my
5
gosh.
minutes later, he asked me how many kids I wanted, mentioned that he wanted at least 8 kids, and that he'd wanted a traditional woman who didn't complain about housework. This again was our first date.
Oh my goodness.
After making several sexist jokes about women, not to mention he showed up in dirty gray sweatpants and a smelly jersey.
Oh, I see it. I can feel it.
He had the audacity to ask me out the next day. Oh my gosh. I'm
Oh
so
my
sorry you had
goodness.
to live through this.
Yeah, so sorry. That's rough. Because that's literally just like, I'm seeing such bad, like, guy, like, mentalities, Because, like, he literally was just like, I'm a jerk. I'm going to just, like, check you out first. I'm going to reject you, and then I'm going to come back around.
Because I felt bad? I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, you're not worth that. I mean, like, I would have just been like, oh, you're Ken? See you later.
Bye-bye.
Not to say like, any fault of your own. That's just a weird pressure situation.
Okay,
Yeah.
I actually haven't read this one.
Okay,
If you
I
read it.
want to read some. So I have one. It's kind of long, so I'll try to keep it short. A guy I dated in high school didn't have a car. His parents offered a car, but they said he'd have to pay insurance until he got his Eagle Scout, so he waited. Yeah, okay.
Classic.
Classic, yep. I drove us to Panera for a lunch date. I always try to keep it fairly cheap. Now, okay, I will say this about I will say this about like the car situations. We've seen a couple of these. Like, I feel like in high school there are some car situations that are forgivable. But, it is awkward, like the earlier story where the parents had to come, be part of it or whatever. So, okay, Panera. We're at Panera. So I was trying to get the smallest thing, and I was going to get a drink, but he got me... Oh, I wasn't going to get a drink, but he got me one anyways. He also ordered a You Pick two cookies, and a quiche. I ended up being somewhere in the 30s. Not bad for Panera. Yeah, that is not bad. They give you like the tiniest portion sizes. And
Yeah,
it's like,
Michael does not like Panera Bread.
I've had this rant before. They give you a tiny sandwich. It's like $20. Anyways, he ended up telling me to not tell his dad how much money he had spent. It really made me feel like I'm not good enough to spend $30. Oh, that's so sad. Something on. I later came to find out that his parents don't care what he's doing with his money because he's the one making the money for himself. So that's just such a jerk thing to say.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
But also, like, why would she ever be in the situation where she's like, oh, your son spent this much on a date?
Right.
Like, that's so weird for him to say.
Right. Needless to say, I ended up breaking things off with him. Yeah. So
yeah, good call.
That's pretty good. Yeah. It's just sometimes, like, okay, I tell this to guys. I've had guy roommates in college that sometimes you have thoughts and you just need to keep them to yourself. Like, you just have to. And like us guys, we don't have a lot of restraint. And that could be the difference between you being with someone who's beautiful and wonderful and not,
Yeah.
Because like, it's kind of funny, like later in like a relationship when you're like, oh, I thought this thing and it was really embarrassing. It's like, okay, at least he like thought it was embarrassing. But when you just say something like that, like, Oh yeah, like basically saying you're not worth $30.
$30
You know,
at
it's like,
Panera.
oh, come on.
Oh my gosh.
Come on, guys.
Gotta step
just
up your
like
game if you want to get married.
yeah, just like get out of your head and just act normal. You can do it. You could do it. Next story.
This is the last like long one, and then we have just like a few really rapid fire quick ones.
Fun.
Yeah. Okay. I took pride in the fact that I'd never had that bad of a date until I actually did. It was right after I got home from my mission, and a kid I knew from grade school reached out to me.
Oh.
Random, but I was like...
grade school, like
I
elementary?
think so. Random, but I was like, shrug emoji. It was January 2021, so still post-COVID time. But most, not all, people were still wearing masks religiously.
Right.
I didn't, but to each his own, you know?
Yeah. It is a religion.
Anyway, my date was wearing 2 masks, which was fine.
Yeah.
But when we sat down before...
Was it like the cloth mask with the... you'll have to ask this person.
It was like 2 disposable or 2 cloth masks? Or
No, like, you know, like the trend, the cloth mask and then the disposable on top.
Oh my god.
Or reverse. Sometimes they would be like, I want the print on the outside. Anyway.
So weird. Okay. When we sat down before getting our food and we just had water, he drank his water through his mask.
Both masks.
Well, I think that answers the question. It had to be disposable, right?
I guess so. Well, I don't know. Which one saturates with water easier?
I don't mean like he slipped his straw under his mask. I mean like literally put his straw up to his masks and drank through both of them to get the water.
Pause. I have something to say. Okay. The purpose of these masks, right, are to stop bacteria and stuff getting into your mouth, right?
Yeah.
You're going to use that filter. You're going to use that as a filter for your water?
Yeah. Like what?
Like
what about all your breath and germs that you've been breathing on this cloth? You're just going to drink that down?
Like no matter how you feel about like the mess, like you're literally like, okay, I would like to drink my water through a petri dish, please.
So crazy.
Anyway, I think that's kind of gross. It is strange, but
well, and then what? Do you have spare masks after you're done with your meal?
Right, you're like, my masks are wet.
You gonna try to kiss her through your mask?
Yeah, like kiss my sloppy wet mask.
Okay, he did take it off to eat though, because I don't see how that would have been possible otherwise.
So eat his mask.
Anyway, it was a super awkward date the whole time, and I had him drop me off at my friends who were getting their nails done down the street right after we ate. Definitely weird.
Yeah. That's so odd. That's a weird one. Mm-hmm. All right. I'll take the next story.
Okay.
When I was on a double date with my best friend, this guy asked me where my tickle spot was.
I feel like that's like the line that guys use to like test physical boundaries, right?
Right.
It's like, oh, where's your tickle spot? Oh, I'm going to tickle you.
Yeah, I'd say get away from me, like weird. I've even had like weird situations with roommates who were like, oh yeah, just like trying to be like silly, but they're like, where are you ticklish? I'm like, please stop talking. Like this is my response. I do not want to have this, like as funny and weird as it is, I don't want to have this conversation.
You're also very sensitive to tickling. I am very
sensitive. I'm just sensory overload boy. All right, here's the next one. Remember mine. He cut up my food and asked me what size pants I wear.
Oh, this was my cousin.
First date. Oh my gosh.
This was her first date.
This is the first date. No, this is her
very first date ever.
Oh my goodness.
I don't think she's had another one since.
That's like that. Okay, look, I understand that you want to be like a cute old couple, but don't like cut up the food for your date. That's weird.
Gonna spoon feed her too.
That's weird. What size pants? That's like 2 no-nos. 2 no-nos.
2 big no-nos.
All right, I'm gonna do another one. My prom date ate the beef jerky he was going to use to ask me to prom with his sign. Oh my goodness.
So what? I really want to know what happened. Did he just show up with a sign?
He was gonna make a sign, maybe like spell something out, right? And he ate the beef jerky. This would be a really fun idea for another podcast to do, like most interesting like prom proposals
Uh-huh.
or something like that. That gave us a good idea there.
But I feel like he ate the punchline.
Yeah.
He ate the best part.
Yeah, he did. And you know what? I don't have anything against this man.
Beef
So-
jerky's good.
Yeah, you know, beef jerky's good. He was doing what he needed to do. He just needed to have a snack. And you know, it is a little bit weird time to eat beef jerky when you have another purpose for it. But all right, I'll let you do the next.
Okay, this is the last one. I gave my date what I thought was a bracelet. It turned out to be an anklet. I was mortified.
Oh my goodness.
So we just got some more background information.
Yeah,
on this.
okay, so this was my Uncle Curtis. He but this is okay because this is with his wife.
Yeah.
Right now.
They got
my aunt. That is the blood. I don't know why I said it was weird. Just be like, oh, this was with his wife, you know. But yeah, we got some background. So he got this bracelet and he thought it was gonna be good, and it was so big, it's like sliding around her arm, like down to her elbow during the date, and she's like, I think that this might be an anklet. And you tell the other part. It was so funny.
So they were saying that during this time period, an anklet was like very sensual,
It's like, ooh.
very like, oh, you stay away from girls that wear anklets because they are
Yeah.
up to no good. It's like the equivalent of maybe someone wearing like a tube top or like, you know, showing their belly, but having like a belly button ring today.
Right, like something like that. Or even like while we were growing up, you know, it's
Yeah.
like kind of like that, you know? It's like, oh.
But he was like,
So
yeah,
funny.
like girls with anklets and toe rings, like you knew to stay away from them. 'Cause-
Yeah, and like if you gave them a gift like that, you're like, oh, hey.
Yeah, so he in his head he's like, why did I just give her an anklet? Like, how could I do that? Still
Yeah.
mortified to this day, and
That's
he
so funny.
married her.
It's so funny. This is so funny. So we really appreciate that coming into us. But we all have interesting experiences with dating. We all have. Should we say we have a minute or two here?
Yeah.
Should we say
Our worst dates?
Our worst dates? Yeah. Let's end with that.
Yeah, you go first.
Okay, so, and I really do apologize if this is the person I went on a date with. There, nothing really, like, this was a while ago.
Yeah.
You know, and so there's a lot of like different situations, but basically, I was like 22 or something like that. So this was like maybe 4 years ago. And some of my roommates were like, let's go on a date. One of my roommates was like, hey, I've got a cousin who's ready to go. I'm like, oh, sweet. Okay, yeah, let's do it. We're just going to do a group date. We're going to go geocaching. It'll be really fun. She shows up. I find out when she shows up that she's 18, like just turned 18. And she, like, I'm sorry if you're hearing this, but she wasn't very mature for her age. And so it was like, oh, this is really awkward. I was like, I feel like because I had already been on a mission. I was like, I'm dating a high schooler. Like,
Yeah.
I think she was still possibly in high school
Like
at the time.
her senior year.
Yeah, but like so anyway, so that was the start. Then we go on this thing. I'm trying to help her feel comfortable because I know she's feeling uncomfortable too. And so I'm just trying to have like normal conversation. I end up, while we're geocaching, I slip on the ice and fall on my face.
No.
Yeah, and it hurt my knees so bad. I like slammed my knees in the ground, fell on my face. I slide down the hill.
Oh my gosh. I didn't know it was that bad. I've heard this story multiple times. I didn't know how bad the fall
No,
was.
it was really bad. It hurt. Like the rest of the night, I was in so much
Oh
pain.
my gosh.
And you know, she was like, "Oh, are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." So, turns out all of this helps her to feel really comfortable. Her personality explodes all over the place. She's a totally different girl. Like halfway through the date, her personality changed from like being very timid to being like so out there, and like she was starting to like lean up against me and like, you know,
She's like in love with you.
putting her hand on my leg. I'm like, like I've had enough tonight, you know. So,
I'm scared.
So we got some ice cream, and I tried to make her feel less comfortable. As not really. I wasn't trying to make her feel less comfortable. I was like engaging a little bit less. It was like, it was just really more than anything, just sensory overload. Like nothing against her. It's not like she was mean or anything.
No.
Or that like there was no problem there. It was just
She came on strong.
yeah, she came on really strong after being very timid. And so the maturity there was a little interesting.
Okay, my worst date. I was a senior and this sophomore asked me out, which isn't like a big deal, I
Right.
guess. But he picks me up after like a choir performance that I had,
Yeah.
and he had just come from work, and he's like, "Okay, oh, hold on, let me change my shirt." So I'm sitting in the passenger seat, and he takes his shirt off and switches his shirt.
Oh.
It was so weird and like totally unwanted. I was like, "Oh, ah!"
You're like, your
I don't-
body.
I was like, "I did not want to see you shirtless."
I have not heard this story.
Barely knew this kid. I think you've heard the end of it.
Oh, okay.
So we go to get
Takes his shirt
froyo.
off. Hey, baby. Okay.
So we go to get froyo, which is good. Love a good frozen yogurt date.
Yeah.
Quick, easy. You don't have to stay a long time.
Yeah.
But we like didn't really have anything to talk about, so that was kind of awkward.
Right.
And then he comes to drop me off at my house, and he gets out of the car with me, and he leans in for the kiss,
Oh my goodness.
but he goes tongue first.
Oh my goodness.
I gave him
His tongue was out.
his tongue. It was the first thing that entered my mouth,
Ugh.
that touched my mouth.
Oh my gosh. Oh, you kissed.
Yeah, we kissed. I gave him 30
Was
seconds.
this your first? This wasn't
No,
your
this is
first.
like my third.
It's like your third. Okay.
Yeah. I wouldn't say I gave him 30 seconds. I gave him like 15 seconds to redeem himself, and it did not get better. And
Oh,
so
man.
I pulled like a Cinderella, I got to get out of here as fast as I can because my carriage is going to turn into a pumpkin. And I was like, okay, bye. And I ran into the house.
Oh, good. Yeah, you got to get out of there. Man,
it
it's
was
just
bad.
see. This is what I'm saying. Like some guys really think that like they're doing something like good or like romantic or cool, and it does not read that way. You know, like, and I used to worry about this. I used to always be like, I want to just be normal at the very least. You know, man. Well, thank you guys so much for the date things. We're gonna now transition into our spiritual thought.
Yeah. Which I wanted to say before the episode ends, like, we didn't want to record this because we want to make fun of people.
No.
You know, I think it's just important that we laugh at ourselves. We laugh at mistakes we've made in the past. And
Yeah, and you might be the one listening to this and been like, "Oh man, I made it really awkward or horrible on a
oh
date."
yeah,
You know?
and I'm sure that we are the villains in other people's stories, you
Right,
know?
right.
And so it's just important to
I know.
be lighthearted about it.
I'm sure there's some date that like probably someone could have sent in that was about me, right? And like
Oh, totally.
in hindsight, it was like, yeah, I was in high school. It's fine. You know?
We live and we learn.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a scripture in 1 Nephi chapter 3. Me and Michael just recently restarted the Book of Mormon.
Yeah.
And so this scripture has been on my mind. And it's verse 7, where Nephi says, I will go and do the things which the Lord hath commanded, for I know that the Lord giveth no commandments unto the children of men, save he shall prepare a way for them that they may accomplish the thing which he commandeth them. And I just love this scripture. Michael and I are about to walk into a season of life of a lot of unknowns.
Yeah.
Which we'll talk more about as that season approaches. But I just love this idea of when God tells us to do something, if we just accept that as where we are supposed to be, he's going to provide a way. And he's going to light the path the further we walk down it. And so
Exactly.
I've been finding a lot of comfort in this scripture, especially when we've been asked a lot of questions about, you know, what happens next. I'm like, you know, there's a lot I don't know, but I know that we are headed where God wants us to be.
Exactly. Well, take, for example, us moving up to Idaho. You know, our experience has been that, well, we thought we were going to run out of money in like March or April
Yeah.
with all the finances. We're here in July and you know, we're still going.
Yeah.
So it's been just really incredible to have this experience, but just to gain that faith to know that God will take care of us no matter where we are.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you guys so much again for submitting your worst date stories. That was
Awesome.
Oh my goodness.
We loved it.
So fun to read through them. We are also so sorry that you had to live through some of those experiences.
Yeah. And if you guys want to see something like this again, then hopefully, you'll enjoy this episode. Leave us some comments. Let us know. We like the audience participation.
Oh yeah, it's so fun.
We want to connect more with you. So if you guys have any ideas for other episodes, or you want to see us do this again, then please let us know.
Yeah, and follow along with us on Instagram so that you can have the opportunity to participate when we ask for stories. So with that, we'll see you next week. Bye.